Hi class, today we are on Saxon Book 4, Lesson 68, and today we're going to be practicing division with remainders. Now these problems are also going to have two-digit answers, which we did a couple lessons ago. I want to say it was 64 or 65 last week. So here's my problem. And I have my steps on the board behind me here. So just like we did last week, we're going to divide, multiply, subtract, drop, and then we repeat and we start it all over again. So the big thing with this long division is that you learn the steps and you learn where to write each answer that you get as you go through the steps. So once again, we're going to start just with our hundreds place here. And we say, does 5 go into 1? Nope, I cannot make a group of 5 if I only have 100. So we put an X up there just to hold our place and to say, couldn't do anything with that digit. So now we continue looking at the 1, but we bring the 3 into it. Now we have 13, and we say, can 5 go into 13? If I have 13 tens, can I make groups of 5? Yes, I can. How many groups of 5 can I make? Well, I can only make 2. Don't quite have enough to make 3 groups of 5. So my answer to the division goes up here. Up at the top, this is going to be the answer to your whole problem. You write your answer to division on top of the house there. Then we do our second step, which is multiply. What am I multiplying? I'm multiplying the answer that I just got times my divisor. This little X that we put here, that could help remind you, hey, these are the two numbers that I'm multiplying. So 5 times 2 is 10. Where do we write that? That goes down here underneath the number that we just divided into. So underneath the 13, we haven't looked at the 7 yet, so we're only talking about my 13 here. We write the 10, so anytime we multiply, our answer goes down here in our long division work underneath the problem. So we've divided, we've multiplied. Step 3 is to subtract. You're going to take these two numbers, the one that you just wrote, and you subtract there. So 3 minus 0 gives us 3. 1 minus 1 is nothing. You can check your work at this point and say, is 3 less than 5? If it is, that means you've done it correctly. If this were a number bigger than 5, then that would tell me this number's too small because I can make another group of 5. But in this case, we've done it right so far, and we're on step 4. We want to drop the next digit. So this 7 here comes down right next to what we had left over from our tens. Okay, we had 3 tens left over. We bring our 7 ones down, and now we say, can I divide 37 by 5? How many groups of 5 can I make if I have 37 ones? If you're not sure about that, right off the top of your head, you can count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So I can make 7. Can I make 8? 40? Nope, 40 is too much. So I can make 7 groups of 5. My answer to division always gets written up here. I divide, now I multiply. 7 times 5. We just did that. We just counted by 5s. We got 35. Now I subtract 37. So 7 minus 5 is 2. 3 minus 3 is nothing. And I don't have anything left to drop. So here's the new part of today's lesson. Whatever is left over down here, we call this leftover number a remainder. If I have 137 M&Ms and I'm dividing them into groups of 5, I'm going to end up with 27 groups, and I will have 2 M&Ms left over. So my answer here is 27, and we write an R for remainder, 2. 27, remainder 2. Okay, the next example is a word problem, so we really have to understand the pieces to this division problem. It says 375 fans chartered 8 buses to travel to a playoff basketball game. About how many fans were on each bus if the group was divided as evenly as possible among the 8 buses? So we have 375 fans, we have 8 buses. Did anybody hear the key word in that problem? About how many fans? What does about mean? If you see about in your math problems, we are going to round. So I have 375. We want it to divide nice and evenly by 8. So what would I round this number to? My 375, if I can fit it here, is going to become a 400. So we don't worry about the 375 anymore because this is an estimating problem, and we're going to do 400 divided by 8. Does 8 go into 4? No, it does not. We'll put an X up there to hold our place. Does 8 go into 40? Yes, it does. If we count by 8, we'll get 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. We can make 5 groups of 8. Then we multiply. 5 times 8 is 40. We subtract, we get 0. We drop 0. How many times can 8 go into 0? Or if I ask it another way, if I have 0 people, how many groups of 8 can I make? None. I don't have any. So one mistake that my students sometimes make is they get this 0 and they go, oh, I'm done. My answer is 5. But look at what place value the 5 is in. We have 1s, 10s, 100s. My 5 is in my 10s place value. So I don't have 5 people. I have 5 tens of people. And 5 tens is equal to 50. So when you have this extra 0 here, even if you're like, 8 doesn't go into 0, you're absolutely right. But you do have to put the 0 up there in the answer so that we know approximately 50 people will be on each bus. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to look at some lesson practice problems. I will put them on the board. I want you to pause the video, try them on your own, and then when you come back to me, we can go over the answers. If you'd like to follow along in the book, these are on page 437. So the first one is 134 divided by 3. Okay, we have a couple word problems after this. Here's the first 6. Go ahead and try these on your own. Hit pause, and when you're ready to go over the answers, hit play again. Okay, so my first one, 134 divided by 3. Does 3 go into 1? No. We put an X up there. Does 3 go into 13? Yes. How many times? You should have had 4. Then we multiply. 4 times 3 is 12. Subtract. 13 minus 12 is 1. Drop our 4. And then we repeat. Does 3 go into 14? Yes. How many times? 4 times again. Now we multiply. 4 times 3, once again, is 12. We subtract. We get 2. Do we have anything left to drop? Nope. So this 2 becomes our remainder, and we say 44, remainder 2. Looking at B, 240 divided by 7. Does 7 go into 2? No. Does 7 go into 24? Yes. How many times? You should have gotten a 3. 3 times 7 is 21. We write that underneath our 24 here. Subtract. We get 3. Drop. So this one's different than the example. We're dropping a 0, but we already had a 3 here, so that becomes 30. Does 7 go into 30? Yes. How many times? You should have said 4. 4 times 7 is 28. Subtract. We get 2. There's nothing more to drop, so this number becomes our remainder for an answer of 34, remainder 2. Okay, I am going to erase this one so that we can look at C here. And it was 88 divided by 5. Problem C. Does 5 go into 8? Yes, it does. How many times? Just one time. 1 times 5 is 5. 8 minus 5 is 3. Drop our next digit there. Does 5 go into 38? Yes. How many times? You should have said 7. 7 times 5 is 35. Subtract. 8 minus 5 is 3. 3 minus 3 is nothing. I don't have anything left to drop, so my remainder is 3 for an answer of 17, remainder 3. Okay, so D, they wrote it differently. I'm going to rewrite it in the house. So we should have 259 divided by 8. Here's problem D for us. Does 8 go into 2? No? Put my X up there. Does 8 go into 25? Yes. How many times? 3. 3 times 8 is 24. Subtract. We get 1. Drop our next digit. So now we have 19 here. Does 8 go into 19? Yes. How many times? 2. 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract. 9 minus 6 is 3. Nothing left to drop, so this is my remainder. We'll put that up there with my answer, 32, remainder 3. We're going to rewrite E the same way. Let me get a little lower here. So 95 divided by 4. Okay. Does 4 go into 9? Yes. 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. Subtract. 9 minus 8 is 1, and we drop. Now we have 15. Does 4 go into 15? Yes. How many times? 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12. Subtract. We get 3. Nothing left to drop, so this is our remainder. We have 23, remainder 3. And 325 divided by 6. Let's rewrite that in the house. Does 6 go into 3? No. Does 6 go into 32? Yes. How many times? 5. 5 times 6 is 30. Subtract. 2 minus 0 is 2. Drop. Drop our 5 there. Now, does 6 go into 25? Yes. 4 times. 4 times 6 is 24. Subtract. And nothing left to drop, so this 1 becomes our remainder. Our answer is 54, remainder 1. Boys and girls, I hope with this practice, as we continue doing this and you see these in your written practice, that you are starting to get more familiar with this process of division. We will be talking about it more during our class time this week, and please take advantage of after school hours and my Wednesdays where I can meet with you one-on-one or one-on-two and help you correct any misunderstandings. So before I say goodbye, let's take a look at these last 2 word problems in our lesson practice. Shu divided 235 by 4. So let's start with 235 divided by 4. And got 58 remainder 3 for her answer. Describe how to check her calculations. So that was not actually part of this lesson, although you may remember, how do we check division? With multiplication. It's a little bit different with the remainder, so let me show you how to do that now. So we're going to take the main part of our answer, which is 58. So what are we talking about here? It doesn't say if they're apples or shoes. I'm not sure what we're talking about. But she got 58 groups of 4 with 3 left over. So we're going to start by doing 58 groups of 4. That's a multiplication problem. So 8 times 4 gives us 32. We want to carry our 3. 5 times 4 is 20 plus 3. So we have 232. That doesn't match our dividend. But remember, there was a remainder. So here's how we account for the remainder. We have to add those 3 leftover items, whatever they were. So 2 plus 3 is 5. So we have 235. 235, those numbers match, which means she was correct. She got the right answer when she divided this. The second word problem is a wildlife biologist estimates, keyword there, estimates that 175 birds live in the 9-acre marsh. What is a reasonable estimate of the number of birds in each acre of the marsh? Explain why your estimate is reasonable. So his estimate was 175 birds in 9 acres. They want us to estimate approximately how many birds are in each acre. So in 1 acre, if there's 175 in 9 acres. So the last time we rounded to the hundredths place. This is where estimating gets a little bit tricky because we want to estimate in order to make the math really easy so that we can do it in our heads. If I round this to 200, that's not an easy problem for me to do in my head because 9 doesn't go into 2 evenly and 9 doesn't go into 20 evenly. So I need to say, what can I round this to that's going to make it easy for me to do it in my head? Well, if I round to the tens place here, 175 is really close to 180. And now if I divide that by 9, sure, 9 doesn't go into 1, but does 9 go into 18? Yes, it definitely does. 9 goes into 18 2 times with no remainder. So I know if I'm going to multiply here, this would be an 18, this would be a 0, then I'm going to bring down the 0, and remember what I said, we have to fill in a 0 in our answer as well. When we have this type of division problem, and our divisor goes in evenly to the numbers of our dividend, we don't have to show all our work down here. Because I can look at this and say, okay, I know 9 goes into 18 twice, and 9 goes into 0 times, so 20 is going to be my answer. It's a word problem, so we need to make sure we say 20 birds. That's the end of today's lesson. It is now time for you to start your written practice, which begins on page 437 of your textbook. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again soon.